Hi everyone, I'm Bohilian. Today I'm here to explain the tourism planning and development practice in South Africa. Before that, let me briefly introduce what is tourism planning. According to Inskiver, planning for tourism is a step-by-step process which should be continuous, comprehensive, integrated, and environmental, focusing on achieving sustainable developments and community involvement. In countries where not much tourism has developed yet, planning can provide the necessary guidelines for its development. On the other hand, for the area where tourism is already well established, planning is often needed to revitalize the sector and maintain its future viability. In South Africa, the country advocated community participation and integrated tourism development planning in their local destination. For me, I think this is the best practice done by South Africa. From 1995 to 2017, international tourist arrival to South Africa more than doubled from around 4.5 million to over 10 million. Over the same period, employment directly related to tourism tripled, reaching 4.5% of total employment in 2017. Reflecting on South Africa's successes, President Zuma stated, "This phenomenal tourism growth is evidence that we are successfully setting ourselves apart in a competitive marketplace." In South Africa, the community has been given the opportunity to participate in integrated tourism development planning through legislation. Before 1994, South Africa's planning practice was shaped by the history of embedded inequalities. Through legislation, post-apartheid planning practice now promote integrated and sustainable development and include people-driven processes that aim to involve and empower the community through reconstruction and development programs. This legislation was motivated by Agenda 21, a product of the United Nations Conference on Environmental and Development held in Brazil in 1992. Agenda 21 is a non-binding, voluntarily implemented action plans that promote sustainable development within destinations and can be executed at local, national, and global levels. According to the United Nations Environmental Programme, local governments are best positioned to implement Agenda 21, as they can set standards and put strategies in place that balance the interests of tourism enterprise, tourists, and the local community. At the 19th Special Session of the UN General Assembly, which held in June 1997, Thabo Mbeki, which is the Vice President of South Africa, stated that Agenda 21 remains a fundamental program of actions for achieving integrated sustainable developments in South Africa. South Africa has therefore committed at a national level to implement Agenda 21 through their local authorities. Legislation has also been introduced through the municipal system Act 2000 so that integrated development plannings become a local government functions and that the local government is responsible for developing an integrated development plan for the local area. Now I will explain integrated development plan. Each local municipality must develop an IDP for their local area every 5 years. Each is then reviewed on an annual basis and consists of all the different sector or industry plans for the local area, including the tourism sector plan. The IDP planning process promotes an integrated, participatory style wherein the community must be legally consulted. The IDP takes into account the current problems, conditions, and existing resources, and determines the developments that needs to follow. It provides a framework for development and assists the local culture to arrive at decisions in a systematic, strategic, and consultative manner on issues such as the allocation of municipal budgets, promotion of local economic development, land management, and institutional transformation. The first step of the process is to conduct a situation analysis of the local area. This includes a demand and supply side survey of the destination and is led by the local municipality. The existing conditions of the area are thereby highlighted, and the developmental problems and levels of urgency are explained. Information of available resources, including tourism resources, is gathered, along with details of the priority problems and their causes. Community participation during this step takes place through community meetings within each planning area, as well as through surveys and opinion polls. The second stage is to develop strategy, programs and projects that address the problem identified in the area along with actions to address them. During this phase, a long-term vision is developed as well as objective, developmental strategy and project identification for the various industry concerned, including tourism industry. Strategies are developed and the community is engaged through public debates to determine the best method to address these challenges. The third step is to give a detailed description of each project that was identified in step 2 and to indicate how it will be implemented. It is important to determine the project beneficiaries, the costs involved, and how the project will be funded. Timelines are added to each project as well as the entity responsible for the management, implementation, and evaluations of each project. Community participation during this step takes place through meetings with affected communities, while community representatives are included in the subcommittees of the identified projects. The fourth step is the interpretation of all of the tourism and other related setup plans into the overall IDP after all community participation meetings have taken place. Each and every department within the municipality first present their setup plans for their sector or industry before the planning committee. It must be noted here that due to the budget constraint, it is not always possible to integrate all projects and programs in 1 year. So projects and programs are prioritized according to the overall priorities of the destination. The IDP is then submitted to the local council for consideration, approval and adoption, which is the fifth step. Having adopted the IDP in its draft format, the council will then announce the beginning of another community participation process. Although the community might already have had an opportunity to input into the plan, legislation ensures that the IDP again be made available for the community for their further comment before the final approval of the council. Public discussion and consultation with committees are conducted for the last time. Following the council's approval of the final version of the plan, the sixth step comprises the implementation and monitoring of the identified projects. The relevant local government officials are required to give feedback on an annual basis to the communities on the progress that has been made with the implementation of all of the sector plans, including the tourism development plans and its projects. This concludes the planning cycle for the year and lays out the foundation for further planning and community participation in the following year. To sum up, South Africa has developed an easily implemented process. What makes this process successful and unique in South Africa is that decentralization from national to local government has taken place, and local governments are not only mandated to lead the community participation process, but this is also governed by legislation on how, when, and where it should be done. I think Malaysia can consider this practice and implement it in our country. The unique feature of the South Africa process is that tourism planning is integrated into the overall economy, social and cultural development plan from its very beginning. Furthermore, the process is integrative, goal-oriented and systematic, and it gives the community the opportunity to interact with the process continuously. It is relevant to consider, therefore, how South Africa has formulated their integrated tourism development plans and how, as the touch point for tourists, local communities are participating in the process. By adopting the practice, these processes can ensure the success and growth of the tourism industry in Malaysia and provide our communities concerned with a very real and transparent opportunity to play their part in welcoming tourists to our country. We can't deny that, based on the tourism planning and development practices mentioned earlier, South Africa performed a great work and set a good example for other countries in developing their tourism industry. This case has provided valuable insight to practitioners, academics, as well as to the development of tourism in our country.